This is what the bankers said in the Club of Rome documents in '92. Richard Den Haas, now head of the CFR, he said this will control all resources and all energy, and all animal life will basically be under our control, and it, quote, makes humanity the enemy, and the state will prosecute operations against the enemy. So it's now even if you believe man-made global warming is real and carbon's bad, which it isn't, plants breathe it, they put out oxygen, animals breathe. This Kyoto deal and the carbon credits will only transfer it to India and Mexico and China and 100 plus other countries, and the studies actually show it will radically increase it. But then you tell that to the environmentalists, and they just go, no. I mean, and see, they don't care about the environment. It is their cult. They were taught there is no religion, but humans have a place in themselves for that. And so they've now been given the false religion, thinking it's humanism when it's really anti-humanism. Can you speak to that, Texe?
Well, 5 minutes of research. You just Google it up. You'll find that the 4 top weather tracking scientific stations on this planet, the 4 top, including NASA, all say we have gone into an era of global cooling, and it's just a cyclical thing. We ended 1990.
Started cooling 10 years ago. Yeah.
That's right, and so we're in a period of global cooling. That's why, of course, the environmental crazies no longer really use global warming very much. They change the name to climate change or earth changes because they know now they're going to sound more and more like idiots.
And Club of Rome first said ice age in the 60s, then it was global warming, and now it's climate change.
In 86, 87, 88 era, in Colorado, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and others met. Okay, with world leaders.
Maury Strong, right?
That's right, the Maury Strong movement.
Tell you what, we're coming back to the main transmission. Right. Stay there. I want to hear about this with Texe Mars right now. Get a little bit of behind the scenes when we got for the full radio audience. Just want to warn them. And see, we've got so much more knowledge. I'm not interrupting Texe to be obnoxious. I want to add to what he's saying and back him up. And I neurotically like to finish his sentences to show people out there watching. We're not making this up, folks. We've done the research. It's real. Here we go. All right, before we go any further,
front porch sitting.
I want all of you to know that we're opening the phones up in the next hour for 30 minutes at 1-800-259-9231. I'm going to take a lot of calls for Texe Mars. 1-800-259-9231. Texe Mars is coming up. Questions about specifically the New World Order, what they're doing. We were just now talking about the phony environmental movement. Meanwhile, the globalists are destroying the earth, and we build a new one. But how it is a cult, and they admit that this is a social unification tool in their own papers, admitting it's all fake. It's just cynical and evil. And while you're busy trying to ban carbon and tax yourself, they're going to go on genetic engineering and doing things that are really bad. Texe Mars.
Well, back to the Georgia Guidestones. Here we have the Illuminist signaling the future of mankind, which is a catastrophe, which will mean the wipeout of 6.5 billion people off this planet so they can reach their reasonable goal of 500 million sustainable population. So they have this in stone, amazingly. Here we have the forensic evidence of that. So, by the way, if we go forward, I want to mention, too, as we were on the break, we were talking about, back in the late 1980s in Colorado, Maurice Strong, head of the United Nations Environmental Program, met with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and others. And there at Crestone, Colorado, they came up with the idea for the World Conservation Bank. And all of the nations of the world would put in all of their wilderness areas and everything. And by the way, the interesting thing about this is we then began this great process of internationalizing all of America's wilderness areas and national parks with the United Nations biospheres.
And people didn't believe it, but we got the treaty agreements. It was a handover of that, but not just that, the buffer zones, and now those are all the areas they're grabbing and setting off limits.
That's right, because nature is to be the great world religion. But who is the god of nature? Nature's god. Well, it's Pan, the horn god of the forest. Here again, everything goes back to these devils. And by the way, to indicate that that was the future of the world, is Pan, the horn god of witchcraft. In London, England, in Hyde Park, which is sort of like New York Central Park, they have built a great statue of Pan, the horned devil god. A man named Epstein was this sculptor, and underneath it there's a bronze plaque. Now imagine, go to London, England, go to Hyde Park, and there you have a great devil goat god statue, and underneath it says family of man. Family of man. He's head of the family of man, according to the Illuminist. And by the way, go to the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. and have pictures of it. You'll also find devil gods.
Right there, yeah.
There's a devil god. I think that's pages 388, 389 of Mysterious Monuments. Even Darth Vader. Because the book of Daniel, the Bible says the last day's ruler, world king, the Antichrist, will be the god of forces. And there we have old Darth Vader in stone. It's a little comedic in a way, and yet it's
well, they know it's funny for the public, but then it's not for everybody else.
Now imagine, here we have a great Gothic cathedral, the National Cathedral, where they had the 9/11, interfaith memorial service with all the presidents and religious leaders. And there's Darth Vader looking down on people. But you can't see him. You got to have a telephoto lens, because these demons and devils are all up on the ledges in stone, looking down on passers-by. Now, I want to get back to this North American Union thing. What other ways have they signaled?
Okay, let's stay there. We got a 1-minute break, and we're going to come in and get into the North American Union and take calls. Tex Mars, the new book, Mysterious Monuments, Enshroud the World with Magic Seduction. 1-800-25-99231. Get the book at Infowars.com today. You can also get it with a companion video, my new film, Endgame. They both dovetail together. We'll be right back. We're back live with Tex Mars. I want to come back in the next segment, go directly to your calls. Michael, Cheffy, and many others that are holding. 1-800-25-99231. We are live, 17th day of July 2008. PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com are my websites. Tex websites, of course, TexMars.com, PowerProphecy.com, ConspiracyWorld.com. New book he's got out, encyclopedic in size. Very, very important. And we hope that you will get a copy of it as I hold it up for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. Mysterious Monuments. Okay, how are they heralding and bringing in their North American Union?
3 North American Union pyramids, structure they built. But interestingly enough, remember, a facet of this North American Union is the ending of American sovereignty, the bringing in of a new currency, the Amero. Now, they have actually built an entire new U.S. mint in Fort Worth, Texas. And here are the pictures of it for your TV site. Here again, what do we have? We have a great circle indicating the whole world falls under the sway of what? Well, the men of the pyramid. The pyramid
so
is
that's
in
the
all-seeing
eye above the world, architecturally is what that means.
That's right. Here's an aerial view, and both of these shots, by the way, are in Mysterious Monuments. Here we have, notice the Great Pyramid on top of the circle of the world. This is where I believe the Amero is going to be printed. Everything must be made new. This is on the freeway between Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas. I went there, I took some of these pictures, and by the way, I did some research. And I asked I called and talked to the architectural office that designed this building. And I said, by the way, the architect in charge, might he have been a Freemason? And they said, yes, how did you know? And he designed this building on Masonic principles. That's what they told me at the U.S. Office of Bureau of Engraving.
They don't even hide it.
No, they thought it was a great idea. And by the way, they said that they wanted an actual all-seeing eye there at the gate, but for some reason management said no to that. So they got everything. I guess that would have been a little bit too much.
Oh,
so
man,
the Amero, a new U.S. printing.
Tell folks about
plan.
This.
All right, now we talk about the greatest sex cult in the world. Now I know this is vulgar, this is grotesque, but these men actually believe in sexual rituals.
You've got the breast right here. You've got the phallus.
Yeah, well, this is the new state capital of the state of Florida. Remember, Jeb Bush was the governor when this thing was built. And now architects themselves, one of the most popular websites, chose this as the most sexual piece of architecture in the world. It's the state capital of Florida. And what it is, it's the man's testicles and the man's phallus. Now, can you believe the
And they
state
love stuff
capital
that
of Florida
doubles because
is
they can say
designed-
that's breast too. Yeah, but it's the testicles and they admit this. It's real funny to them.
Yeah.
It's a sex cult.
Well, it is a sex cult.
And their dominance in sex, they believe in killing the majority of us so we can't procreate because that's magical to them. So it's also a great greediness to kill you.
There is a sex ritual, of course, in such secret societies as the Bohemian Grove, the Order of Skull and Bones.
Oh, by the way,
and so
speak of
forth.
the devil, that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah, the Bohemian Grove is. They're down there worshiping their great owl that you exposed
And having
in your video,
and
Alex.
having man-on-man intercourse.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. But even the 15 young men initiated in the Order of Skull and Bones, in Mysterious Monuments, actually show the original layout of the city of New Haven. Now remember, that the words New Haven means the new heaven. This is where the educational center of the world was going to be. Would you believe?
Well, Masons founded Niederwald, which means underworld outside Austin, but sorry, go ahead.
Well, here we have, and by the way, this is a 1797, dated 1797, drawing of the city plan.